Alright, so we're actually getting some names now.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yes, friends, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. As always, I hope you're doing well. I really do hope that Dean Jones, journalist of Give Me Sport, has published an exclusive on Chelsea of a five-man striker shortlist and some other transfer names that Chelsea are looking at. So, of course, as we move into a brave new age of Chelsea Football Club, there are ins are going to I'm going to learn English first. Ins are going to happen, a lot of outs as well, but we haven't heard that many names. We've heard left back, centre back, maybe even after Tosin as well. Goalkeeper, striker, and five striker shortlist apparently from Dean Jones here, as well as some insight on other players as well in his exclusive. Now, I do believe Dean Jones has got good information, so hopefully this will be an interesting and insightful experience. This video, hopefully we learn something and you gain my opinion, insight for whatever that is worth. So thank you for joining me today here on the channel. As always, thank you for liking and subscribing. A little goes a long way. Tesco, every little helps and all that stuff. So thanks for liking, thank you for subscribing, hit the bell if you choose to subscribe. Let's go. Alright, mate, so Chelsea could be set for a busy summer transfer window under Enzo Maresca. So, Dean Jones writes this: as soon-to-be Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca lands at Stamford Bridge, he will be signing up to a vision of the future that Mauricio Pochettino simply could not get his head around. It is not that Maresca is the yes man that narratives around his appointment are beginning to suggest. On that as well, I haven't actually mentioned it here on the channel. I wanted to, but it slipped my mind, I guess. Because it was this idea that perhaps the next gaffer after Pochettino is going to be a yes man. I never particularly massively bought into that narrative. But people who cover Leicester City, there's been a couple of journalists that have said Enzo Maresca is not a yes man. He's like the opposite. He's a passionate, fiery character that will stick up for his ideas, his philosophy, won't be told what to do. And, you know, a lot of these representatives or journalists, broadcasters that cover Leicester sort of laughed at the idea that this narrative that Enzo is a yes man, and in fact say he's in fact the opposite. Seemingly he's a character that the sporting directors want, and they feel like they can be collaborative with, but not this like company man, yes man that perhaps people were worried about. Is it more that Maresca is able to understand that Chelsea's philosophy involves having a head coach that is willing to work within the club structure? As one source describes, quote, he is comfortable with the club taking care of most of the recruitment as long as he gets to take care of training and players. Well, yes, provided that's exactly what we want, right? Everyone just does their jobs. So Pochettino wanted elite experience at Chelsea, and Maresca will have a say on transfers this summer, which is interesting. Pochettino was keen for the club to bring in an elite experience if he had stayed in charge for next season, and there is solid reasoning behind that. Of course, the model of signing players 25 and under has left them with an incredible squad of emerging talent, but in terms of having the nous to manage big games and winning silverware, they are some way short. And look, Pochettino was good, he's great, but no one saw Pochettino as the guy as, oh, well, he wins silverware no matter what, he's a relentless trophy winner. No, of course he was, accused of being the opposite, wasn't he? But yes, definitely with the players, inexperience, immaturity, not having the nuts to go over the line, and, partner that with a manager that's not synonymous with winning trophies in Pochettino, it didn't look like we were in the strongest position to just ruthlessly win trophies. Poch wanted a premium centre-forward, a new Premier League proven centre-back, and even another figure in midfield, although he loved Conor Gallagher because of the passion and dedication he held for the club, combined with tenacious work rate and technical ability. So he still wanted another midfield despite liking Gallagher. Midfielder. Well, we got a senior. I mean, Tosin turns 27 at the end of the summer, and he's got Premier League experience. So that would have been a big tick for Pochettino. And it does seem like So this next line here says sources say that Maresca will have a say on transfers. So this idea, this narrative that he just gets dumped players and has to deal with them regardless. He will have a say on transfers, and even may get to sign players beyond the age of 25. We've already done that. The papers are signed for Tosin, and he's 26 going on 27. So we've already broken that rule. But they may not be the same profile or age that Poch had in mind. So we don't know. Maybe Poch wanted a 32-year-old. There is work to do in every area of the pitch, so it's worth considering just how Maresca not only reshapes the current version of Chelsea, but also improves it through player and development skills. Yeah, well, that's, to Pochettino's credit, he was great at that. But yeah, this isn't a discussion about Pochettino now. That ship has sailed. There was just some reference here in this article. But, Enzo Maresca will develop and coach players. So Chelsea to focus on goalkeeper addition. Rob Sanchez could be sold. The goalkeeping position is another area that Pochettino had concerns with. Well, Poch actually was initially early doors planning the season with Kepa, until Kepa caught a whiff that Bayern Munich wanted him with Tuchel, and he was like, oh yeah, I'll go to Bayern, because remember we finished 12th last season. He was like, bun this, I'm out, mate. So Bayern Munich want me. Little did he know that Bayern Munich wouldn't win the title for the first time in 12 years. But and then of course Real Madrid came in for him, and he's like, I'm Spanish. Oh, Real Madrid are the biggest team in the world. See you later, mate. So yeah, Poch was upset with that. We've already obviously covered that to death a year ago now. Wow, time flies. So yes, Pochettino had concerns, but while what am I reading? Aaron Ramsdale or Jordan Pickford would have been in his mind as great options. It's felt Chelsea's profiling around this might be changing. Good. I don't want Aaron Ramsdale or Pickford. I mean, I actually think Pickford's really good. I don't think he's got great long passing. He's a good shot stopper. He's definitely passionate. I quite, if he's been good for England as well, but he's not like technical, quick passing around the 18-yard box, is he? So I'm glad if they truly were Pochettino's options, maybe yes, he shouldn't have got his transfers in the end anyway. So Rob Sanchez will be available for transfer this summer, while Georgi Petrovic remains a player that is admired. He cannot be guaranteed the number 1 shirt. We spoke about that earlier today. It's felt that Maresca is very comfortable with the strengths Petrovic displays, yet the process to identifying other stoppers is ongoing. Yeah, I've sort of nailed my colours to the mast here. I don't, I'm not like condemning Georgi Petrovic to never being good enough for me for Chelsea's number 1, but I feel that we need a bigger character in goal, and by all accounts, we'll need a more technically proficient goalkeeper to play this new brand of football that's coming to Stamford Bridge. So, it could be they decide to sign a direct young competitor for Georgi Petrovic, but if they go for proven keepers, there's a few that have been explored, so this is interesting. They have been explored already. Emi Martinez of Aston Villa is the most top-end keeper could target if they shop in England, but they are looking also for more value in other sectors of Europe and South America. Emi Martinez. Why would Emi Martinez... I don't know. They've just qualified for the Champions League, Aston Villa. It's not even like he'd be going down to the Europa League. He'd be going down 2 leagues to the conference. Should he join Chelsea? I don't think Emi Martinez would leave Aston Villa now they're in the Champions League under Unai Emery. Personally. Although, I don't know. There is some, I know frustrated fans don't really see it, but there is something to be said about players and agents of players getting excited about this Chelsea project. I mean, apparently it's happening. People are excited, So Brazilian stopper Bento of Atletico Paranaense is a player that has been extensively scouted, while Chelsea also like Unai Simon, of course, a Spanish goalkeeper, who's just signed the extended contract with Athletic Bilbao, and Porto's £65 million valued Diogo Costa. Look, a lot of people talk about Diogo Costa. Sounds like Diego Costa, which Chelsea fans were like, and you just know if he played for Chelsea, that Diego chant would just turn into Diogo, Diogo. Not for 65 million quid for me, mate. I'm done with spending massive fees on goalkeepers. And also, whenever I watch him, he never really impresses me. I guess I watch him in the wrong games. In England, of course, Burnley's James Trafford is rated at 20 million, but since the relegation to the Championship, he's also being offered to various clubs at the moment. Palmer loves James Trafford. There's that clip of him making that penalty save for England, and Palmer gets emotional going, he's so good, he's so good. Do I want James Trafford as the Chelsea goalkeeper? Almost certainly not. Right, centre-backs. Riccardo Calafiori is a target for Chelsea. He could cost just £20 million. In defence, Chelsea need quality at centre-back and a new option at left-back. Riccardo Calafiori is emerging as a target that fits the profile Chelsea are looking for, as he has the capacity to cover both positions. Now, we know Tosin's in, one Premier League proven centre-back. Fabrizio Romano was saying maybe even another centre-back, which I didn't really get, especially with the Monaco boys, as well as Fofana and Colwill. What's going on with Chalobah? How many centre-backs do you want, mate? I know at least one will go out the door. But if it's going to be a player that can play left-back as well, then yeah, maybe that makes sense. And actually, if the long-term plan is the inverting fullback is going to be on the right, Reece James... get the best. I mean, he could be perfect for that. We've spoken about it, so we'll maybe bring it back up in another video if it becomes more likely. Then the left centre back will be a back free style player. I mean, that could just be Levi Colwill, you know. Still, they're looking at this guy. He's got the capacity to play both positions. He's young. He's 22. He's the Bologna defender. Of course, Bologna qualified for the Champions League with Thiago Motta. He's one of the best players in Serie A last season, and he could be signed at a bargain price of 20 million. One key issue with Calafiori is that the Bologna manager, of course, Motta, is taking over at Juventus and wants to take the player with him. So he's Calafiori is not Chelsea's only target, of course, but would provide good value compared to other players they've looked at. Of course, we've looked at Nottingham Forest, Murillo as well. It's a good player, Murillo at Forest. It shows some stats of this Riccardo Calafiori. Great player. Midfield is well stocked, with Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia trusted as the future heartbeat of the team. While Gallagher is expected to leave, that narrative still flies in the face of what Gallagher wants. I think I need to sneeze, one sec. Oh, I hate it. You know when you nearly get the sneeze out, you don't quite, and you feel like, who's cursed me for this? So yes, Gallagher wants to stay at Chelsea. In fact, sources revealed to Give Me Sport that the player ended the season with optimism he could still land a new contract. He wants to play for Chelsea. He wants a new contract. Quite how that is affected, of course, by Pochettino's departure remains to be seen. Of course, Poch loved him. Chelsea could also embrace Cesare Casadei in their midfield. He, the 21-year-old Italian, played for Maresca at Leicester. So very, very interesting. I've seen a lot of stuff as well on social media talking about Chelsea's tactics. The Euro expert did a breakdown and a speculative lineup in possession. So what is it, like a 3-2-4-1? Isn't it? Anyway, but interestingly, people are seeing Enzo playing deeper. Enzo playing, wait for it, behind Moises Caicedo. What a turn of events. What a wild ride. What a time to be alive. When everyone was seeing Enzo Fernandez play as a number 10 at some points in front of Caicedo as a double pivot. He wants the passing players deeper, metronomic players deeper, and Caicedo with his more like destructive capacity being higher up for high turnovers. Call him crazy, but he might just be onto something. And by the way, like, we haven't seen Moises Caicedo yet. Brighton didn't sell Moises Caicedo as a Premier League record signing just as like some stopper as a CDM. They were like, no, you don't understand this kid. He can do everything. He's the everything midfielder. And he's young and he's getting better and he's trending upwards. Opportunity for that to be demonstrated with him playing further up the pitch. And actually, the two almost defensive eights. So it's like a box midfield, right? So as it stands, the way he explained it is, say like a Cucurella inverting, just so for the moment the left back inverts, not Reece James. So Cucurella inverts, becomes a CDM. He goes next to Enzo Fernandez. And then in front of them is Moises Caicedo. And actually, as a slightly more offensive number 8 in front of him, is Cole Palmer. I mean, that is tactics flipped on its head. Say if, 2 months ago when we were playing well or whatever, started playing well and we found our lineup under Poch. If someone said to you, next season, the beginning of next season, no, you don't have to say Poch is sacked. The next season in the lineup, Cole Palmer will be playing in the midfield in like a proper narrow sort of number 8 next to Caicedo, which are in front of a double pivot. You'd be like, well, what are you smoking, mate? Who the hell has just put this Chelsea team in like some sort of snow globe and shake them out like, look, Cole Palmer and Caicedo are playing as like a dual 10 or like number 8s or whatever. Just weird. We'll see if that happens anyway. Let's talk about forwards. Chelsea remain in the market for another creative attacker. Of course, if you haven't watched the video this morning or earlier today, go check that out. We speak about Elise and we speak about Somerville. Go check it out. And of course, they are looking for a striker. Raheem Sterling is fighting for his Chelsea future and does not want to become the victim of any change, while Nicholas Jackson sees himself become more varied in terms of how he's used in the side next season so that the goal-scoring threat can be accommodated. Nico Jackson's a valued player. He can play wide, he can play up top. He can just be the second-choice striker. Value across the board. Chelsea have been looking at Victor Osimhen. Of course, so this is a 5-player shortlist, 5-striker shortlist. Unsurprisingly, Victor Osimhen's in there. A striker Pochettino definitely would have been on board with. Next one is Benjamin Sesko. I'm not massive on Benjamin Sesko. The buyout clause is more now. It's like 60 plus million. He's very young. He's unproven. He hasn't scored that many goals. His return isn't like any more, better than Nico Jackson. It might be worse. I'll have to double check. I know he's a hipster's choice. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Benjamin Sesko. I mean, Arsenal are looking at him as well. So he's a big boy player by all accounts, Benjamin Sesko. See what happens. I'm not massively sold on him at the moment, but he represents the second choice. Victor Gyökeres. So this will get a lot of people excited because he obviously scored ridiculous amounts of goals for Sporting under certain Ruben Amorim last season. He'll cost a lot of money, Gyökeres, like maybe 100 million, and he was playing for Coventry 11 months ago or something in the Championship. But if he's the one, if he's just good, then he's good. He's a bagsman, and everyone agrees he's the solution. Bring him in. Ivan Toney, which is interesting, right? Ivan Toney, 28, going on 29, senior striker, Premier League proven. Stock would have fallen. Of course, he had that ban that he played. He started after January, scored a few goals, went off the boil massively at Brentford, and maybe actually his value is gone down a lot. I think he's got 12 months left in this deal, maybe 2 years. I think he'd actually represent good value now, Ivan Toney. He represents the 4th choice. And finally, Artem Dovbyk as well. So, very good striker as well. The other players are been documented in scouting reports. In this sense, it's not expected that their focus will change too much, given the club maintain control of the team build. So Osimhen, who has been described as world-class by Mourinho, is the most ambitious target, and his profile will continue to be balanced out by the fact that Chelsea are not going to sign anyone else close to 100 million. Also, I think he's got high wage demands, Osimhen. Now, as another new era begins, can Chelsea finally start moving forward together? The hiring of Maresca is a risk, but Chelsea know they have a man who is on board with their blueprint of the future. So, super interesting. It's really good to get some names there. Great. I mean, good names in there as well. It'll be very, very interesting to see who actually comes in. Obviously, it'll be massively dependent on players coming out as well. But I'm going to put it out to you guys. I wanted to say those names. You guys reflect on it. Comment down below what you think, which players represent the best value and who you think will be most appropriate for this team and this league and stuff. And I'll leave it up to you guys. And I'll be back very soon. Peace.